Lama la kyapsu chiyo, sangye la kyapsu chiyo, chu la kyapsu chiyo, gendun la kyapsu chiyo. May all beings have happiness and its causes. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all beings never be separated from the great happiness that is beyond all misery. May all beings dwell in equanimity, unaffected by attraction to dear ones and aversion to others. May all beings recover from the sicknesses of mind and body pollution, and enjoy relative and absolute health now and forever. May all beings relax in a pure and healthy outer and inner environment now and forever. May all beings enjoy inner peace and world peace now and forever. Malusem chen kungi gengyo chi, rude punje mi tse jom tse la, ngena malu yanda gengyo be, chom den go jene di shek su so. Protector of all beings without exception, endless subduer of harmful beings and energies, perfect knower of all things, Bhagavan and attendants, please come here to this place. Aryadeva, the Lotus-Born. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, have but a single essence. To intuit this essence, learn the true nature of your own mind, and then let go and dissolve into unstructured reality. This tensionless state is the yogin's life. At birth, Aryadeva sprang magically from the pollen-filled heart of a lotus flower. As soon as he came of age, he was ordained in the academy of Srila Nanda. In time he became the abbot of the famed monastery. And yet, after a number of years of selfless service, this preceptor of 1,000 monks and teacher of countless scholars, grew restless. More and more he came to feel that he had not yet realized his own perfect potential. Finally, he resolved to go in search of the Guru Nagarjuna, whose extraordinary powers and virtue had inspired his profound respect. In this way he hoped to gain ultimate knowledge. Believing Nagarjuna to be in the distant south, Aryadeva prepared himself for an arduous journey. However, on the shores of a broad lake, not far from Nalanda, he chanced to meet a humble fisherman, whom he recognized instantly as the Bodhisattva Manjushri. Aryadeva prostrated himself before the Great One and presented him with many offerings. When Manjushri offered to grant him a boon in return, the abbot asked if he could tell him the whereabouts of Nagarjuna. By a stroke of luck, the guru he desired was at that very moment in a nearby hermitage in the jungle. According to Manjushri, he was engaged in the formulation of an alchemical potion that would confer immortality. Setting off in the direction in which the Bodhisattva pointed, it was not long before Aryadeva came upon a humble hut of woven grasses. Nearby he saw a keen-eyed old man muttering to himself as he gathered leaves and roots among the jungle foliage. Aryadeva knew him at once and prostrated himself before the master. Nagarjuna sensed an extraordinary presence in Aryadeva and wholeheartedly agreed to his new pupil's desire for instruction. He gave him initiation in the mandala of Guhya Samaja and taught him the accompanying precepts. He also agreed to allow Aryadeva to remain with him and practice his sadhana. Each day, the two masters, one the teacher and the other the student, journeyed to a nearby town to beg for food. Nagarjuna had the greatest difficulty getting even the richest householder to give him more than a spoonful of rice. But Aryadeva would come back bearing a veritable feast on the broad back of a banana leaf. Every kind of delicacy imaginable was heaped upon him. As this went on day after day, Nagarjuna grew cranky and ill-tempered. Finally, he took his student to task. "Lustful women are trying to seduce you with all this fancy cookery," scolded the old man. Throwing the laden banana leaf into the jungle, he said, "This food is unclean. From now on, you must eat only what you can lift on the point of a pin." Aryadeva obeyed his guru faithfully, eating only the single grains of rice he could lift with a pin. But as soon as the women of the town heard of this new stricture, they began preparing cunning little barley cakes covered with syrup and balanced on the point of a pin. Aryadeva brought these little cakes back to Nagarjuna, who ate them with great relish. But then he grew suspicious once again and asked his pupil where he had received the cakes. In all innocence, Aryadeva explained their provenance. The old man flew into rage and forbade him ever to enter the town again. From now on, Nagarjuna would beg for them both. But the next day, no sooner had the master disappeared from the view than a beauteous tree nymph emerged from her leafy home, bearing a heavenly feast for Aryadeva. Casually displaying her naked splendor without the slightest hint of embarrassment, she sat down to converse with the Lotus-Born yogin. When Nagarjuna returned, his pupil told him about the visit of the tree nymph and gave him the food she had bought. The master decided he had to see this nymph for himself and went to the tree where she lived and called to her. With great modesty she peeped out at him behind a screen of leaves, much too suspicious to show herself. "Why do you expose yourself to my disciple and not to me?" asked the angry sage. "I'll tell you why," scolded the tree nymph. "It's because your disciple doesn't even know the meaning of the word lust. He is utterly free and pure. But you, old man, have traces of passion embedded in your aged mind." Chastened, the Guru reflected upon her words. Then he summoned his pupil to him and gave him a new name, Aryadeva, Sublime God. That very day, Nagarjuna perfected his elixir of eternal youth and anointed his tongue with a few drops. But when he handed the bowl to Aryadeva, his pupil threw the contents against a dead tree, which immediately sprang into full bloom. "Whatever possessed you to do that?" cried Nagarjuna in dismay. "You're going to have to replace the contents of that bowl." Obedient as ever, Aryadeva took a bucket of water and peed into it. Then he stirred the contents with a twig and handed it to his guru. "You have made too much," said the sage peevishly, and handed the bucket back to his pupil. Aryadeva splashed half the contents onto another dead tree, and it also was restored to radiant life. Nodding his head, Nagarjuna said, "It's quite obvious to me that you are already fully realized. Why do you insist on staying in samsara?" Whereupon Aryadeva was infused with ecstasy and levitated to the height of 7 palm trees. Fully liberated from birth, as are all the Lotus-Born, he needed only a word from his guru to convince him of what he had been too innocent to see before. Continuing to float in the sky, he began teaching the Buddha's message to all beings, aiding them to bring their minds to maturity. And when he finished his labors, he turned the soles of his feet to the sky, placed his palms together in adoration, and prostrated himself before his guru. Then, still floating in space, he righted himself. And as the heavenly host gathered to shower flowers down upon him, he simply vanished. Ni modelek sendelek, ni megum yahandelek shin, nin sentak tudelek bel, kunchosum gi jingiro, kunchosum gi ngodrobso, kunchosum gi tashi. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.